afternoon, good evening, good day, everybody, and welcome to this startup grind with a fireside chat, very interesting fireside chat with recent grinder. But just before this, a few housekeeping notes. We are Startup Grind. We are the world's largest startup community, and we aim to change the world one startup, this means one company at a time. And how do we do that? By giving us a mission, we want to give startups everywhere the education and opportunities they need to build, grow, and scale their companies. And we are also our own values because we believe in making friends, not contacts. And we believe in giving first, not taking. And we believe in helping others before helping yourself. So, just a few housekeeping notes now on this for this fireside chat is, dear viewer, if you are watching live, you can ask your question, comments in the chat, and I will pick them up during the discussion. And for those who review it, join us next time on the live event. So, but now without further ado, let's dive into it. Welcome, Mustafa.
Thank you. Hello, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us and for playing with us and playing the game. But further, I guess maybe some attendees are not so familiar with Lodago. Could you just tell us what Lodago is, what Lodago is doing, or if correctly?
Yeah, you pronounce it correctly, and as it is not a real word or word, and it has no real meaning, you can say it the way you want. So Lodago, to make it short, is a one-stop solution for appointment booking, virtual booking, and in-person booking for mainly salespeople.
Okay, great. I mean, that's what Lodago is, but in order for our viewers to get a little bit the understanding how you got there, how did you get the idea, or how did you define the needs for Lodago, the services Lodago is providing?
Oh, it's a long journey to come to this solution or this software that we are having now. I think anyway, the main key to any startup or any founder is to talk to future or to customers. This is the best way to get the best product, or at least what they need. And I think that's the point of this chat as well, because you titled it like from geek to business oriented founder, and basically that's about my journey. So I first built something that was almost nothing to compare, or even nothing close to what we have now. But during these many years of building, failing, trying again and again and iterating, we came up with this Lodago brand and software that is kind of taking off now for since few months ago, let's say.
Okay, but how did you go? I mean, the decision to build something or to go for something that doesn't come, that you didn't think, okay, today I'm going to do it. What was the trigger for you to say, oops, there's a pain point? And did you feel the pain point yourself? Was it like
No,
that?
no.
Or
When you are okay, let's start or go a bit backward. When you are a geek or someone from technical background, let's say, you don't really enjoy or think about pain points. You just enjoy building things, like I would say, like a boy or a girl with some bricks or toys like that. You build something and you are in awe because you do something really complex that covers a lot of things. And if you want to understand the geek mind, is to have a look to Linux, the software, the operating system. Linux is made by geeks, but nobody can really use it on the day-to-day basis, especially except if you are yourself an engineer, because it's too complex and it was not built. If you compare it to iOS, for example, that was really built for to make it really the simplest possible and easy to use. So my journey started like that. I was like a geek. I liked to build things, so I started to build many softwares, many tools for my own purpose. Sometimes for some customers that I have found, like one or two, just as a side project. That's the very beginning of it. But also, I have something. Let's say my personal character, let's say, is kind of I'm a bit it's hard for me to work in a normal company, let's say, like 5 days a week from 9 to 5 or to 6, and doing almost the same routine, having the same routine every day. I think the way I am wired, I need to have every day new challenges, find something new to build, to do, to learn. So, but I couldn't do it and live out of this, so, or make a living of it. So what I have done, I did like every engineer. I just worked as a consultant, as a freelance. And the main trigger for me was like 3-4 years ago, I got fired from the latest company I worked for. And I got fired for a not well-known reason, let's say. I think it was just some chemistry that was not good between me and the manager, whatever. But I took it really personally, kind of. I was like, wow, what happened? Because it was, I was replaced in a week. Like the guy came, told me, okay, we are going to end up your contract, and someone is going to replace you next week. So we are going to pay whatever it is needed, but you just go home. So I felt really bad about it, and I told to myself, okay, why I'm still accepting these kind of situations? So I was confident about my skills to build something, but less confident about putting it to market. So, but I decided to go and to learn from and to build that and to learn from the, let's say, the market, and during the journey, basically, I knew that I had no choice but to go that way.
Okay, great. And that's very often how it works. I mean, you generally have a hardship, or you really feel the pain, and you do something either for yourself and then you go for it, or you are forced to do something. Okay, you went then for yourself, and did you already had in mind the solution in mind, or was it more, okay, now, okay, I have some skills, I think that something can be done, but I don't know how or what, and you approach, as you say, your potential users, or how did you go about it in order to realize this step?
Yes, I had something in mind. My latest experiences were mostly about email and emailing. So I know, and I knew deeply this field and its limitations. And back then, Google decided to create a new specification for email, what we so call now dynamic email. So it's a new specification that allows the email basically to become like any website, completely dynamic, interactive. So I said, okay, let's jump. So I subscribed to the beta, and I subscribed as a developer. And I saw it like, okay, let's build a new MailChimp, let's say, to make it simpler. Simple. Let's build a new MailChimp, but for dynamic email. So like with a builder, what people can use, easily send dynamic emails for marketers. So I built completely from scratch this solution and this software, and I tried to sell it. So this is exactly where the moment where I came to Luxembourg and I started to get in touch with all the startup ecosystem. But I knew nothing about how to sell. So I hired someone with my own money, the money that I had in my savings. Julie Simier, that is still working in Luxembourg. We had some nice and hopeless moments together. But she was from marketing, and I said, okay, I'm a builder. I know how to engineer, how to build a software, and she might know how to market it and to sell it. We had a few customers, not on the dynamic part, but only on the basic HTML part, let's say. And we started to go from incubators to startup programs to whatever, mentoring. And basically it went nowhere. I think they were not ready for that. It was not real pain. People say, okay, it's good, it's a nice to have feature, but it was maybe too early. So after almost 2 years going like that, from people to people, mentoring to mentoring, I got at some point another huge setback. It's when Julie, she decided to leave. She saw that it was going nowhere, that I was good at building things, but not understanding the sales part. So she decided to leave. It was for me kind of hard to not to understand. I understood her. I said, okay, it's okay if you want to leave. I can set you free because it's normal. We are just here in this journey, but it's on good. It's if you are willing to. I'm not going to force you anyway to stay. But I had a nice after that difficult moment. I found out about the LCI, the Luxembourg City Incubator, and they organized a workshop about fundraising. And at that time, I thought that fundraising is going to solve my problems. When you are a young founder or a first-time founder, you think that money is going to solve everything. Okay, I will have money and I can hire whoever, whatever, and I can bring customers, which is completely false. But you find this after many months and sometimes even years of experience. So I went to this workshop. It was like 2 days workshop with interesting people teaching us how fundraising works, how you have to prepare your pitch deck, and so forth, so far and so forth. And I have met a guy there during the Q&A session. I raised my hand and I shot a question like from this question, you can see that I was like a rookie in the financial world, not understanding a thing about fundraising or even finance. And that guy who was just passing by, we had a coffee, and he came and he told me, okay, you are not from a financial background. I said, no, I'm just an engineer. He said, I could have guessed it. I said, how come? He said, because your question was not silly, but it was too amateur, like it was an amateurish question. And he told me, okay, I can give you an advice if you want. Take a book. I have a few books, but I have one for you. I think it's Predictable Revenue. The guy who started, I think it's Russell something. I don't recall, sorry, the name of the guy, but Ross something. And it's all about how he took Salesforce from less than few $100,000 a year to quite, I don't know, hundreds of millions, and how he started the sale process and how he organized all this. So I started to have a view on basically what is the most important thing when you create a business. Is not about the product, but it's about selling and how you market it. Because people, if they don't understand your value proposition and all these words that are now for me kind of natural, were kind of, I was like, wow, shocked. What is it? What is that value proposition? What is a product market fit? And all these different steps and journey that you have to go through. And then I started to realize that I was completely wrong. And few weeks after, I decided to apply to the LCI to get in as a startup. And everything started from there, basically. I have met two extraordinary persons. One is not part of the company. He's named Ahmed. He's the founder of a company there, Black Ridge. And he saw as well that I was a rookie, engineer, with no experience. And he came and he said, "Okay, give me a demo of what you are selling." I gave him a demo. Back then, it was named Rocket Mail, the solution. And he started to tell me, "Okay, you need that, you need this, you need a brochure, you need some marketing." So he started to help me to understand what are the next steps. And then I told him, "Okay, but I'm alone. I'm alone in the company. I need someone. I need a co-founder. I need whatever, someone to help me." And he introduced to me Gabriela, that is now the first co-founder that joined Rocket Mail, and one of the original founders, let's say, after me. And I saw that she was, because she's mostly from financial background. She did King's College. She's not technical at all, but she's really my opposite, in the sense that we complete each other. She started to put everything in place with me about the financial things, the marketing. And then we started to find a way to sell Rocket Mail. It was kind of some months before the COVID. And when the COVID came, we had I think another workshop with some people about how to brand or how to sell on LinkedIn. And the organizer, she had a look to our solution, and she said, "Okay, basically you are doing what MailChimp is doing." I said, "No, we're not doing what MailChimp is doing. We have dynamic email." She said, okay, I understand what you are trying to explain, but for any customer, when you present Rocket Mail, it's MailChimp. It's another MailChimp. And you are not going to compete with MailChimp. So I think you have to think again about what your value proposition, or what you can offer to the people. And then Gabriela, she had an idea about completely somehow pivoting our business. She said, "Okay, we are doing dynamic email, but it's too broad, as a message." We spoke with marketers, we spoke with the e-commerce people. There are so many people that can use it, but nobody wants to use it because it's too early. They don't understand. Let's stick to one use case that can be easy to use, and that makes sense for anyone. And when the COVID came, it was obvious for us to go towards the appointments booking, because it was at that time the big boom of the remote work and all these video conferences. So we completely changed, and we redesigned the platform. We removed everything that was useless at that time, and we just stick on sending a simple email synchronized with your calendar to display your booking, your availabilities. That's it, with email. Only one simple use case. And after that, it was kind of like a bingo. We had our first customer. I think the week we pushed the first plugin on Zendesk marketplace, we had a contact, someone from Canada, a public administration. They contacted us. Okay, we are doing some support, giving trainings to public administration, and we need something like, something really simple to use. What you are offering is good. We just had the first call and we onboarded them, in the platform. But what was really funny is, and I realized that very later, when I see it was like a simple application, one screen with two tabs, one to synchronize your calendar, one to put your availabilities, and that's basically it. I was even, to be honest, kind of ashamed to make money, but we had it like, okay, there is something, even if it's simple, that people are willing to pay for it. And this is a pain point for them. So let's stick and let's build on top of all this. So we started with this first customer. He started with us with few licenses, and then he took more, and he started to give us some feedback about, okay, I want more that and this feature. Can you build that? And we started to build on top with this customer. And from that one, we started to onboard another one, and another one. And there it goes, basically. But I think that's if you have any question, maybe Steve, because I can go very far with this story.
And maybe you should. I mean, that's why we have the fireside chat. But on the other hand, I mean, it's interesting to see that you took the approach like a lot of technical persons. They build and then they want to impose something. I mean, it's like a children's game. You have a round hole and you try to put a square in it. And then that you need, on the one hand, to communicate, on the other hand, to identify the pain point and so on. But I would like also to know, okay, you said you had your first customers and also how you pivoted, but how did you approach the revenue stream? Because it's one thing to sell something like a box mover, it's something to sell something like a service, and it's something to sell something on a license. There are other ways. How did you decide, or did you test a little bit what is the best accepted from your potential users?
Okay, yeah, that's another chapter. Yes, of course. When you build something, you have very few. You can guess very little about what price can work, and basically you can't know until it depends on how you want to position your software, and basically the price is what your customers are willing to pay. So you have to try and learn. You can at the very beginning, I remember, just to give you an idea, when we first released not the appointment booking solution, but Rocket Mail as it was as a marketing solution with dynamic email, we were selling that per license per user. I don't recall, it was like 15 euro per user, and it was working quite fine. We had like 300 customers at that time, but not on the dynamic part, on the standard email part. But I didn't want to stay on that one, because it was not scalable at all, and we were competing with a lot of people. And then we decided to say, okay, dynamic email is something, let's say, trendy, new, kind of. I said we just raised it from a couple of or dozens of euros to thousands. We say, okay, let's sell it. Say, okay, if you want it, you are going to pay like 2,000 a month to use it with the onboarding, with all the process. And it was really interesting because we started to have leads about bigger companies, because they started to speak with us because we just positioned ourselves as premium. We even had a lead with Samsung in France. We started to build a POC with them. Anyway, didn't go for many reasons, but you have to test. And that's what happened as well with Lodago as it is now. We started from dozens of euros. Now we are almost 30 euro a month. You just try and see what people are willing to pay. That's basically it. And there is no recipe. Of course, you have to cover your costs, but there is no recipe. If people want to pay more, hundreds, you charge hundreds because you charge by the value. And the most important is if you solve a really painful pain point, let's say, I have to insist on it, the people, they can pay really a lot, especially if you have no competitors. So for that, just try and see.
And on the other hand, I mean, that's what the pay, what it's the amount, but the model, I guess it's a recurring model. Do you see
Indeed.
yourself more like, let's a solution, I call it a software solution provider, or is it more that you say, okay, no, we see us as a service and we want to assist our clients, customers?
For us, is always software as a service. We don't do service because service is hard. You need a lot of people. It's kind of customized. It's not scalable. As a startup, I think it's better to go as a service. Software as a service. You just base your model on recurring revenue. It's what works. Lately, we had changed a bit because we integrated the corporate world, and we, since they have a lot of users, they don't want to be charged per seat or per user. We did it per usage, but it's still something based on an annual recurring revenue.
Mm-hmm. And on the other hand, I mean, okay, you had some leads, you had some initial leads, and then there were more coming leads and so on, it developed. And how do you address it now? Do you still go directly, or do you eventually look at the to do it via channels, via partners also? How do you see it evolving?
Okay, I have to go backwards a bit because it involves to explain as well how our third co-founder came into the game, Ivan. When we started to build the new solution and we pivoted with Gabriela, we knew that we had a weakness. Even though she's from the financial background, we have no expertise or experience in selling at a huge scale or even to get our first hundreds of customers. So we decided to pay for some mentoring, sales mentoring from someone that has a lot of experiences. So we found out about Ivan on a platform. I don't recall if it's cofounder.com or something like that. And he was selling some, mentoring hours about sales process. I think we did like 30 hours with him. Started to explain to us how to put a smooth and sales process, how to get some leads, how to follow that, and all these different things that you can learn through experience as well, but it takes time. And it went so well that it was just obvious for us that this guy has to join the team, basically. So we just offered him, okay, Ivan, will you be interested in joining this adventure and this journey? He said, so for the moment, I'm still with another startup, but let's see in a few weeks or a few months. But I think he was kind of not only interested, but impressed by our story and the way that we didn't want to give up, for many years that we were like kind of going and trying to learn. And he said, okay, because he did something that was good as well to test us. He came the first meeting and he just hit us with a lot of negative thoughts, to see how we were going to react. Yeah, he started to criticize what we are doing, our application, the way we are selling, the way we are doing things. And it lasted like for 30 minutes. We were like completely, wow, what is happening? And he said, okay, let's see that. Let's speak about that in a later call. And we came the next call with some homework done, and still with this willing of fixing things. I think he saw that we were kind of we had this ability to learn and to grow, and not just to get closed when we and accept the feedback. So he joined the team, and from there we started to put some try and learn processes about sales, what channel works, email, LinkedIn. And we finally found that the best that suits us for until now is the exhibitions. So we go to in-person exhibitions over Europe and even in United States, and we meet people, sales companies there, and we sell Lodago. And this is the best thing, the best channel for us for leads. So we generate a lot of meetings, and Ivan is mostly responsible to handle all these leads and to convert them to to sales.
Great, thank you. And on the other hand, I mean, you had how you had your founders joining, and you also said that you used some of the resources here in Luxembourg, like the LCI and so on. How say that being here in Luxembourg was an advantage, or what was different from being out of Luxembourg? Because, I mean, you're still in Luxembourg, you're still based in Luxembourg, though your client base is worldwide. So, how do you see it as operating out of Luxembourg? Because we are startup in Luxembourg, that's why.
Yeah, you are right. What brought me to Luxembourg as well, just to give a bit of inputs as well. So I was born in France. I did most of my studies there. I worked, I think, almost 10 years there in France before moving to Belgium and then Luxembourg. But back then, when I created the startup or founded the company, it was first for me easier to do it in Luxembourg, not only first in terms of administrative papers, but also it was the beginning of this ecosystem, startup ecosystem in Luxembourg. And in France, it was not even starting. And what I really liked in Luxembourg is this international mindset. You have a lot of people coming from everywhere in the world. So already when you are in Luxembourg, you are already international because you speak to so many people from different nationalities, and you have to deal with all these different way of thinking, opportunities that, to be honest, and without doing French bashing, you don't have in France. In France, we are kind of really, we say franco-français, you know, and you can see it because I see it with some of my peer founders. When they settle a business in France, they don't think from day one internationally. They say, okay, let's start, let's conquer France, the French market, and then to grow. Which is, it can be a good strategy. I'm not going to debate it, but for us, it was kind of completely normal to start globally. Okay, we sell in Luxembourg, but not even we can speak to the whole world from Luxembourg. And it was, I think it's a great advantage. And I will really encourage anyone that wants to create his startup to really think big from the beginning. Okay, you can try in a local market to see, especially sometimes if you have a local solution, but really from when you have a global, let's say, or a huge playground like the world, you can try, see, do mistakes, improve, iterate. And I think the Luxembourgish ecosystem allows that. And also, since it's a small country in a good sense, you can meet a lot of interesting people very quickly. Sometimes from people from the administration to a minister to an influential person to an investor. It's really a small world, and it's interesting in that sense.
Thank you. It's very interesting. On the other hand, I'm now taking a little bit the questions which pop up and try to put them into our discussion or conversation more. Is okay, it's good to have clients and to have a model, a sales model, and so on, a revenue model, but were your clients renewing? Were there a lot of renewal, or were there a lot more of them who said, okay, it's nice, we do it, it's fine, but we don't renew? How was the take up of it?
It happened to us that some people, they didn't want to renew or didn't want to continue the POC. But although it's, how to say that, it can be painful or something difficult to accept, it's a really good sign because it helps you to understand. Because basically in this journey, and that's the most difficult part, it's like you have, sorry for this saying, but you have to sharpen your knife every day. You know, you are never done. You think that, okay, but in fact, it's just a step and you have to go to the next step. And the customers and their feedback, and especially when it's a negative feedback, or when they say no, it's the best opportunity for you to improve and to learn. But you have to digest that. It's hard because you have to face so many challenges, and you always see the yes of a customer as the holy grail, you know, like, which is real, but until that very moment when they say yes, they always say no, and you have to understand. So when they say no, we don't want to renew, we just ask why you don't want to renew. They can say, for example, okay, but because we went for your competitor. Why? Because it's cheaper. Okay. Sometimes you can think, okay, let me decrease my price, but it's the wrong solution, because if he goes to the competitor, it's because you don't give enough value. So think about how to differentiate your software and to give more value that is going to be so obvious for the customer that he has no choice but to pay, and with a smile. And this is how basically we got into the corporate world. We never thought that someone from a big company or a worldwide company will speak to us and say, okay, I want to go with Lodago. But we just realized that when you solve something real, a pain point that nobody is solving, because Lodago is doing, we are going to release some things that I can't tell about it now because we want to have some competitive advantage in the few coming months. And then when we will release it, I will speak more about it. But when you release something that will help the customer, they will talk to you and they will make it happen. Even if it's a huge company, a worldwide company, they will make it easier to get you on board and to help you get them on board as well, which is something that I could have never dreamed many years before, but I just realized that now that you can even target the biggest company in the world if you offer something that is valuable.
That's great. But you talk not like a geek. I mean, you absorb the sales lessons well and the customer experience lesson well. On the other hand, you have gone on the journey. You have now a team, you have co-founders and so on. If you look back, is there something which you would have done differently? Not, I'm saying differently, not saying you wouldn't have done, but would have done differently with eventually the hindsight you have now.
Money, maybe about the money. Basically, when I started the company, I stopped working full time. I had huge issues about money, about personal finance, and I have kids, and at some point, you are when you are a founder, you are alone most of the time. And you have to learn how to cope with this loneliness, but you can, and you have, I think, and you must find someone, not a lot of people, but one or two, with whom you can speak openly in a vulnerable manner, saying, okay, now I feel bad or I have huge problems, and you have to share that. And I think that at some point, I stayed months without speaking to anyone about my own problems, So I was kind of closed. and just focusing on work, but some other problems were like kind of almost about to blow, in my life. So I think this is something that, of course, it's over now for me, and it's good in the good manner. But yeah, there are some really bad moments that you have to face in this journey, and sometimes really hard. So you have to be able to speak and to talk and to get some insights from people that basically that love you, because they are going to tell you your shit for what it is. Sorry for the for the expression, but they are also kind enough to say it in the right manner that you can accept it, and also in for the good, basically, not just to stop you from what you are doing. So this is something that I would have done maybe a bit differently.
Great, thank you. And now looking forward, what you now see moving forward, the things you would like to share. What is it, what you say, okay, these are the steps or the moves we or I would like to do in order to reach the next level? Let's call it like that.
What I just got recently, because I'm continuously trying to learn, there are different steps in the journey of a startup. First, you have to find what we so-called the product market fit. So finding a good product, solving a real problem that people are willing to pay for at a scale, let's say, or a large scale. This product market fit, and you think you have it, you have to find, like, I think what many call, but I call it like that, a sales playbook, a repeatable way to sell your product. And I think that we have almost reached this point, that we have now this sales playbook. We know how to repeat the same way to sell our solution. So now we are a small team, a bit less, I think 10. We just hired the last person, so we are 10 people. So it's a small team, and we are not willing to grow like too fast, because we are also trying to keep some values and a culture and integrate people slowly. But I think the next step for us is to kind of really confirm that we have this formula, this recipe, and then start to applying, like, to industrialize it, take more sales, and not to tell them now to figure out, but just to apply. This is the recipe, apply it, is going to work, and then to scale, basically. This is the next step, I hope.
Yeah, hope dies at last. That's the only thing. You're still always there, and that's why Startup Run is about, is in order to show that you can dare to try to realize your dreams. On the other hand, we are now slowly coming to the end, and in a traditional startup grind manner, there's very often, I mean, we are a community, national and international. And is there something where you would say eventually this in startup grind community there are some resources which we would be interested in order to get leads, in order to get contacts, in order to get appointments, or I don't know. Is there something where you would eventually see the startup grind community globally could assist you in your journey in getting to the next level or levels?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Most probably, each level that you pass or you get to has its own challenges. And sometimes you can know them, especially if you have some mentors that went through already and they know what you are going to go through. So, and during each step that you go from one to another, there is this transition step where you get a bit weak. You know that you are moving, but at that moment of time, you can completely collapse, because it's a lot of pressure. It's you move a whole team, a whole world basically with you. So I think with for us, for example, if we decide to say, okay, we are going to scale now, I think there are some challenges that we are going to face. And we see them already now, even though we are a small team, you see that you have to manage a lot of people to a lot of topics. So basically, I think in that sense, yeah, we would need some maybe some insights about what are the common, basically mentoring, because it's the most important. When I think about what was done so far, most of the good things that happened to us and happened because we had met the right people at the right time, and this is really important. So if it's about this startup green community, I think this is the best thing that we can have from it, like having some mentoring, some insights, and to have a better view about what we are going to face in the next months or years.
Great, thank you. So thank you, Mustafa, for having joined us and really sharing your very interesting and insightful journey so far. So, as I always say with startup grind, it's to see people who still have the sparkles in their eyes, who are still about it. So, thank you, Mustafa, for really this journey and also for sharing us your insights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve, for having me.